humanity, across any culture, any book, any story, any fable, there has never been across the history of humanity any respect put on the name of a promiscuous female ever. Ever. You name the biggest conquerors that you can possibly name from history. Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, all of them. They all had 100 wives, bunch of children, big G, conquered the world. Normal. That is normal evolutionary biology. That's how men are designed to be. There's never been a single female who's been celebrated for her promiscuity ever in history. It's always been frowned upon and disgusting.
Well, actually, Marilyn Monroe is still one of the biggest promiscuous women that's still worshipped today by regular women and promiscuous women. So yes, I do understand where he's coming from, but I just thought I'd throw that in there.
So yes, we are completely and utterly different. Yes, it's different if a woman cheats on a man. And if a man is at a complete top level of his life and ticks every single box, and if he decides to be loyal, which some do, and I can be loyal, and I have been loyal, but there's also times in my life where I think I don't want to be, and get a new girlfriend every single day of the week. I can do that, and I can decide to do that. If a woman decides to do the same, purely because her value is high enough to attract so many males, because she's beautiful, for example, it is completely different. And I'm going to explain to you why it's completely different. So fuck.
He's right. It is completely different for a woman to run out there. You have to understand, it is very easy for a woman to just walk outside the house, put some makeup on, and get a man. A man has to become the best version of himself in order to get the same attention as a woman who's at her worst.
It's different. It's different. It's different. Well, I'll tell you why. It is impossible for a female to be promiscuous on a long enough period of time without devaluing herself. There is no way she is sleeping with endless men, and all of them are either high value men or treating her the way she should be treated. If you find a woman who slept with 50, 100 dudes, she's either dudes which aren't at her level or haven't worked hard enough to try and get the she was just too drunk to realize he's a loser, plays video games, or she's gonna talk G who barely texts her back. So either way, she's gonna do she shouldn't be fucked, or a guy who's at the level who doesn't give her the right amount of attention.
Woo! That's cold. That's straight game. He is absolutely right. Majority of these girls that's sleeping around with a lot of guys, they're not messing around with top tier guys. They're messing around with top tier guys who paying them no attention, and they keep working for his attention. That's what keeps her going, the high value man that shows her no attention. But when he disses her, in order for her to gain her confidence back, she has to go back down to the guy that's a little below her level, because that type of guy is going to do more. He's going to do the same for her as she was doing for the high value man that she wanted before he dissed her.
For a woman to find a guy who's truly on a level, who truly treats her the way she should be treated, that's once every couple years, if that. You ain't just going to go out there and a new dude every week and say, yeah, he's worthy. Yeah, he treats me good enough to get my seat. And you know what's funny about the universe? It's actually beautiful about the universe because it's equal and opposite forces. When you devalue yourself, it's kind of like men can smell it on you. They can just look at it and go, oh. And that's the way it works. So you can
woo, he's right. He is absolutely right. That's where women lose. You lose because men get smarter. Think about all the 18 through 24-year-olds that got their heart broke. They've came online. They've learned the knowledge of what's going on and how much smarter they're going to be going into their next relationship versus a woman who places herself in a delusional way of thinking because she's always just lowering her standard, going towards the guy who is desperate to be with a woman. So she keeps lowering her standards in order to maintain feeling like a princess. But the guy that she initially wanted and is going to always want is what the little guy that gets played becomes. See, you become the best man by the time you're 30 years old. But around that time, you'll be able to look at a woman and tell who's who and what's what from your experiences.
Be very careful as a female and sit and go, does this man truly deserve to me? And if you think about it, the answer 99% of the time, especially if you're promiscuous, is no. So when a woman is sleeping around with all these men, she's devaluing herself. She's devaluing herself, and the world knows, God knows, the universe knows. When a man does it, he doesn't devalue himself at all. That's just the way it works.
Can I ask you a question? Wait.
He's right. The man does not devalue himself because women are naturally attracted to the guy that gets all the women anyway. And if he has money, then they're more lenient anyway. They prove this time and time again, but a lot of women would still contest it.
Wait, Esther, 1 second. Sir, may I ask you a question? What would you say if a woman now is married to 2 men?
Haram.
Why?
You have to say haram because it doesn't sound right. Matter of fact, women don't even want to be in a relationship like that. Like how often you see women say they want to be with more than one guy. No, girls that want to be with more than one guy are strictly for the streets.
No, I'll tell you why. Let's talk about this. What is the difference between a man, let's say me, I have 4 wives, right? What's the difference between a man having 4 wives and a woman having 4 men?
You can impregnate the 4 wives at the same time.
You can impregnate the 4 wives at the same time, and we know who the parents are, right? So
Yes.
let's say you had 4 pregnancies, you'd know who the mother is because she's carrying the baby, and you know who the dad is, top G. If you had a woman with 4 men and she gets pregnant, who's the parents?
What about if
But no, I'm not.
Ooh, she tried to change it real fast. He's right. They would have to stop and chemically try to figure it out through a DNA test. But if one man had 4 women, you already know who the father is. It makes sense. You got to think of Linda Rose, you know, the P-Hub star. She didn't know who her father was.
Asking. Do
Okay,
you know?
I ask, what if they're different races? One
Answer
white,
the
one black.
question.
You don't know.
Answer the question.
You don't know. Now, modern science can come along and maybe fix that for you, but that doesn't mean it's not wrong in the eyes of God. The idea of having a family, the idea of a child being born, one of the baselines for a new life to come onto this planet is for at least to understand who the 2 people who made it are. At least. If you have a woman and 4 dudes, you don't even know who got her pregnant.
So may I just
It's
say,
disgusting.
Have you seen the twins that had 2 different dads?
Oh yeah, I saw that. May I just say something then? So if that is the case, yeah, if the one thing that you're meant to have is you, at least you know who the 2 people that put that child on earth are, then that's why promiscuity for men is also a problem, because they get women pregnant. Sometimes they don't even know they have children. That's haram, no?
No, it's completely different. It's different because you have to understand, I'm talking about humans. You have to look at humans from a societal perspective, but society has changed, right? So let's say 200-300 years ago, if a woman got pregnant, she needed a man to survive. If that man didn't take care of her during pregnancy, she was going to die. She couldn't work a job, she couldn't hunt, couldn't fish, whatever, right? A woman literally needed that man for survival. So if you were to come to me and say I'm pregnant, but you've been by 4 different dudes, I'd be like, who says it's mine? Why am I looking after you?
He's absolutely right. And this is what a lot of guys face, especially as the child gets older. When the child gets older, a man's going to look at his kid and is going to know if it's his or not. But whenever it comes to a woman that's been sleeping around a lot, he don't know. And they typically have to wait to a DNA test, especially when there's more men.
None of them want to look after her. She will literally perish. This is why in most of the world today, still today, virginity is so coveted. And throughout all of history, it's been so coveted because that's the only way to ensure paternity. She's a virgin. I know that's my baby. She ain't a virgin. Prove it's mine. Outside of this modern science bullshit, Shaitan, the devil we have here in the West, in most of the world today, without virginity or at least a low body count or at least anti-promiscuity, you can't tell that that's your baby. So it's a completely different thing. You're looking at the idea of a woman being pregnant and coming to a group of men and saying, one of you has to take care of me and put up with me when I'm fat and moody and annoying and I need my bills paid. And all the men are going to sit there and go, no, prove it's mine. You can't prove it. Bounce. Where it's different. If I get 4 women pregnant, we know the deal.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So obviously back then for survival, women needed a man. Otherwise, when they were pregnant, could die and all of these things, they would perish. In today's society, given evolution, given the fact that as women we can go
Still
and get...
need men.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that. Isn't there a glitch between what is actually happening and the nature of what we have in our bodies? I think that's probably the conflict that we're having right now.
Glitching what way?
In the sense that women don't feel like they need men in the most physical sense. Perhaps
that's
like
right.
naturally.
It's very interesting. Women...
And she's right. Women do feel that way, but women have been brainwashed to feel that way. Break it down, Tate.
Don't feel like they need men in a physical sense because life is soft, but it's bullshit. And it's bullshit because you still need men by proxy, 1, and 2, the second life gets difficult, you very quickly learn how much you need men. But women will go, I'm independent, I don't need no man because I have an OnlyFans and men pay my OnlyFans, and if anyone comes up to me, I'll call a male police officer. I don't need men. Shut up, you fucking idiot. Of course you do. You just named your whole life is based on men. The road you're driving on was paved by a man. The house you're living in was built by a man. The car you're driving was designed by a man. Your whole life depends on men. And the second anything bad were to happen to you, the second you were physically threatened, or times were to get hard, or war were to start, or famine, or riots, the first thing you do is find a big strong man, shit yourself, and throw the feminism out the window.
He's absolutely right. Feminism only works when it's convenient for that moment. Typically only during debates. That's the only time that feminism works. Women go and work all these hours at their job, come home tired, and be sitting there looking mad and angry because they worked all day. They really don't want to work that way, but they trick themselves that they need to be this way in order to survive, because you can't really survive if you're a weak person. The only thing a woman is doing is taking on an alpha trait, emulating a strong man in order for her to survive. So it's kind of like a catch-22 with them, because if they don't, they won't survive. But at the same time, trying to find a man to survive without, it's going to be hard.
Feminism goes out the fucking window the second that the snow needs shoveling, or there's a broken down car, or the tire needs changing. Then all that crap vanishes. It's garbage. And this is the very interesting thing. I'll make a point here, which is going to get me canceled again, but I don't give a... but this is the point. Feminism feminism in and of itself can't be defended. Any idea, the point of an idea is that it can be defended by the people who believe in it. This has been the whole point of war since the dawn of time. It doesn't matter if it was the Christians against the Hindus, doesn't matter if it was the Germans against the French. There were people who had ideas and ideologies, and they're prepared to fight each other to defend their ideology.
He's absolutely right. If you guys want to finish watching the rest of the video, go over to Just Purely Things interview with Andrew Tate. And if you like these type of videos, comment, like, subscribe to both of my channels. Hasta la vista.